Okay, let's dive into this explainer and start by dropping you right into a scenario you've probably daydreamed about. We all have this deeply ingrained assumption, right? We just naturally think that if we can only earn a little more money, we're finally going to be financially free. We treat a higher salary like it's this magic key to wealth. But today, we're going to look at why that is actually a complete myth, and we're going to uncover the hidden machine that quietly makes all your extra money just disappear.
So imagine you finally get that call you've been waiting for. Your boss sits you down, smiles, and says, "Congratulations, you've been promoted." Think about that rush of adrenaline for a second. You smile, you celebrate, you're immediately texting your family and friends. For the very first time in your professional life, you feel like you are finally, truly getting ahead of the game. It is an absolutely incredible feeling of validation and relief. But what actually happens next? Like, how does that emotional high translate into your day-to-day financial reality?
Let's say your annual base salary jumps from $50,000 to a brand new number, $70,000. Boom. That is a substantial, life-changing bump. So, naturally, you celebrate. You decide, hey, I deserve to move out of that cramped apartment and into a bigger place. You finance a newer, much more reliable car. You start eating out at nicer restaurants. You grab the latest smartphone, you subscribe to, 3 more premium streaming services you're probably never going to watch, and you book a much nicer vacation to truly reward yourself. Your paycheck is undeniably bigger. But a few months down the line, something feels really strange. You log into your banking app, and at the end of the month, your bank account looks exactly the same as it did when you were making $20,000 less.
It's a confusing, honestly kind of terrifying realization. Where on earth did the extra money go? And that right there is the real story today, because the crucial point is figuring out where that new money vanished. The biggest enemy of your newly acquired higher salary actually isn't taxes, and it isn't inflation in the broader economy either. The enemy is something much, much closer to home. It's your own lifestyle.
Well, here is exactly how this hidden machine kicks into gear when that money hits your account. It usually happens in 5 rapid-fire steps. Step 1, your income increases. More money arrives every single month. Step 2, your lifestyle expands. Suddenly, you've got the better house, the better car, the better vacations. Step 3 is the psychological shift. Your expectations rise. What was considered a totally rare luxury just yesterday rapidly becomes your baseline normal today. Step 4, your fixed monthly expenses grow. You're locked into higher rent, higher insurance, higher utility bills. And finally, Step 5, wealth building gets entirely delayed. Why? Because all that extra income has quietly, silently disappeared into maintaining your brand new normal. That right there is the machine at work. To really see how to beat this machine, let's look at 2 totally different approaches to that exact same $20,000 raise. Person A decides to invest almost all of the extra income, intentionally keeping their day-to-day lifestyle exactly the same. Person B, on the other hand, upgrades pretty much everything. They get the new SUV, the luxury apartment, the designer clothes, the fancy private gym membership. Now, after 1 year, both of these individuals earned the exact same salary, but only one of them actually became wealthier. Why is that? Because getting a raise doesn't automatically increase your wealth, it simply increases your choices.
Okay, let's break down the exact math of where Person B's raise actually went. The real cost of that $20,000 annual bump is, frankly, staggering. An extra $6,000 a year goes straight to higher rent. $4,800 goes toward that new car upgrade. Then you got to add $1,500 for higher insurance premiums on the new car and the new apartment. $2,400 gets eaten up by dining out more often, $600 just vanishes into new subscriptions, $2,700 into shopping, and $2,000 into premium travel. Notice how the total new spending perfectly, flawlessly matches the $20,000 income increase. Your income increased, yes for sure, but so did your expenses. Your surroundings changed entirely, but your actual financial freedom, it stayed exactly the same. The whole shebang changed, and yet nothing changed. If we follow that money trail, it is seriously eye-opening. Who is actually getting your raise? Well, your landlord gets more rents. The bank earns more loan interest on your newer car. The car dealership gets a nice profit. The insurance company collects heftier premiums. The local restaurants earn more revenue. Luxury brands secure more sales, and airlines and hotels get more bookings. When you really stop and think about this list, you realize that from just one single salary raise, dozens of other businesses are benefiting and getting richer. But what about your investments, your personal savings? They stayed exactly where they were. Literally everyone else captured the value of your promotion except you.
Let's look at another direct contrast out in the real world. Here we have 2 workers making the exact same 6-figure salary. Both are pulling in $100,000 a year. But there is a massive, life-altering gap in what they actually keep.
Worker A is spending $98,000 every single year just to maintain their lifestyle. Worker B is spending just $60,000. It's the exact same gross income, but a wildly different financial reality happening behind the scenes.
So, look at those two workers and ask yourself, who is actually on the real path to financial freedom here? The knee-jerk reaction for most of society is to judge wealth by the outward display of income, right? We look at the cars, the zip code, the shiny watches. But the person who becomes wealthy first isn't necessarily the one with the biggest paycheck or the flashiest lifestyle.
The answer reveals the absolute core of what we're explaining today. The person who builds wealth is the one with the biggest gap between their income and their spending. They completely avoid what is known as the lifestyle inflation trap. This trap triggers when every single raise or bonus you get mentally translates into permission to spend more rather than an opportunity to own more assets. Most people out there believe wealth comes purely from earning more. Actually, scratch that. Wealth doesn't come from earning more. Wealth comes from keeping more of what you earn.
But you know, the trap isn't just about the math. These lifestyle upgrades come with massive, invisible costs that just don't show up on a store receipt. When you inflate your lifestyle to match your income, you invariably take on more debt, you experience a much higher baseline of financial stress, you lock yourself into these massive monthly commitments, and suddenly you have way less flexibility. Say you want to change careers to something you'd actually love, but it pays a little less? You can't, because your expensive life demands that high salary. This ultimately leads to longer working years. Imagine losing your job tomorrow. Which person sleeps better at night? The one with low monthly expenses, or the one whose luxurious lifestyle depends entirely on that next paycheck arriving exactly on time?
Because the reality is, true freedom means being able to sleep well at night knowing your lifestyle doesn't completely depend on earning more and more every single year. We have been so conditioned to measure freedom by the sheer size of our income, but that's just a flawed metric. Freedom is actually measured by your flexibility. It's the ability to say no, the ability to pivot, the ability to take a risk or weather a storm without losing everything you've built.
Let's look at a concrete example of how this builds over the years with two friends, Sarah and James. Sarah has an $80,000 salary, spends $78,000 of it, and saves just $2,000. Every time she gets a raise, it goes straight into funding a better lifestyle. Years pass, she earns more, but she's still living paycheck to paycheck. Then there is James. James also earns an $80,000 salary, but he spends $55,000 and invests the remaining $25,000. Every raise James gets goes directly into increasing his investments first. Over time, those assets James bought, they begin generating an income all on their own. It is the exact same salary, but a completely different mindset, resulting in a very, very different future.
Ultimately, the one variable that changes the whole shebang is habit. It's the habit of treating a promotion not as an immediate reason to go buy a bigger car or take some lavish trip, but as an opportunity to save and invest before you upgrade your life. It's about recognizing that these small, everyday decisions have massive long-term consequences. A raise absolutely can improve your life, but only if it improves your personal balance sheet, not just your day-to-day lifestyle.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to go back to the day you got your last promotion. You probably thought a bigger paycheck was going to solve all your problems, but now you know better. You know all about the hidden machine of lifestyle inflation. You know that a higher salary doesn't create wealth if every extra dollar is just spent on maintaining a more expensive life. Keeping more of what you earn is the true mathematical path to wealth. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to carry with you. When that next promotion inevitably comes, will your raise buy you more things, or will it buy your freedom?